And hello there! Let's keep your week rolling just right with the right mix of news and conversations. Now, whether you're catching us online, on TV, or on the radio, hop on, join the chat. I'm Paolo the Rosario.
Hello there, beautiful people. I'm Asis-Carilo. We are simulcast on Mellow 94.7 BFM. Here's your daily dose of deep dives and good vibes. Welcome to
Beautiful Day! All right, so it's been a little bit of wet weather again.
Yes.
Nothing too much. The classes and yung pasok sa gobyerno have been on and off in the past few days. Hopefully, we're gonna get a sense of normalcy in the next few as well.
Hindi ba kasi tag-ulan?
Oo nga
So
ganun
I
talaga.
feel like we're going to experience this for the next couple of months until maybe December.
Well, sana naman hindi yung baha, diba?
So, sana wag baha,
Oo.
sana wag bagyo at sana wag baha.
Yeah, I mean
Yes.
like yung mga bagyo talagang darating talaga yun. But then when it comes to yung baha, hopefully we are seeing more and more efforts to try and make sure yung mga short-term solutions natin
Yes.
nandun rin. But of course, we got a full day ahead as always here in Beautiful
That's
Day.
right. First and foremost, we are simulcast on Mellow 94.7 BFM. You guys can catch us live on Facebook and on YouTube. Just type bnc.com or search up Bilyonaryo News Channel. Like, share, and comment, please. There's a comment section there where you can leave us your messages, your shout-outs. We always say hello to all those who are watching us and listening to us. And later on, we are going to be having Besties Asks, or we are going to be talking to DJ Yen of Mellow 94.7. Our topic for today is, what is that one failure that turned out to be a blessing in disguise?
I like that topic.
I like that
syempre,
too.
Yung mga ibang failures naging life or career defining, diba? So I can't wait to talk about that. But of course, later on, also in Weather HQ, we're going to talk a bit more about the environment, especially when it comes to mga single-use plastics, because a group called Ban Toxics is pushing for a stronger plastics treaty that will obviously benefit the environment natin, and of course, keep more people accountable when it comes to yung mga single-use plastics or plastics in general in terms of the waste that naproproduce natin, and of course talking about that culture as well. Kasi syempre dito sa Pilipinas, sanay tayo sa convenience. So for example, single-use sachets, right?
Yeah, yes.
Ilan dito yung bumibili ng mga single-use sachets and tinatapon lang, and it's such a waste of plastic.
Straws.
It's such a waste of straws as
Diba?
well.
Yeah,
I mean, like there are lots of ways to go about it. So we're going to discuss more about that later on. Of course, what can be done when it comes to accountability. But apart from that, we also have a guest here on the Hangout later on.
Yes, for the Hangout later, we will be talking to the leading voice in local book talk. Her name is Andrea Panaligan, and we're going to hear what the Gen Z thinks about, the current issues that everyone's been talking about, the flood control scandal, the Nepo baby. So we're going to be talking about that with Andrea later on. It's going to be a kind of controversial, maybe. We'll try to tone it down a little.
And we're gonna tone it down, hindi. Let's put it all up, okay?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's do it.
Let's put it all up. I mean, at the end of the day, syempre, we live in an age where everyone is allowed to be opinionated.
Yes,
You're
yes,
gonna have
of course.
haters, you're gonna have someone who likes your opinions or makikiride, diba? Pero again, when it comes to things like, for example, yung corruption that we have been seeing blatantly on social media, especially sa mga Nepo babies or yung mga tipong wives of certain officials, nakita natin the cancel culture is coming out real. So let's see whether
and
or
it's
not
very harsh.
It's harsh.
Cancel culture
My
is very
gosh,
harsh.
kaya
So
nga.
that's why you're seeing a lot of these people taking down their not just their posts but their Instagram accounts.
Yes, kaya nga sinasabi nga nila, sila yung mga tunay na scholar ng bayan minsan, diba? So I mean,
scholar ng bayan, prinsesa ng bayan,
Yeah.
The lucky ones.
Yeah, the lucky ones. But of course, we're going to get to that later on. First, we always check out how the road's looking like. So, Anne, let's do that.
Yes, let's check the traffic situation at this hour, guys. Let's take a look at EDSA Orense in Makati. On the left side of your screens, you're seeing vehicles heading to Pasay City. Light traffic on that stretch. Opposite lane, same situation. Everything green and go. On the right side of your screens, those are the vehicles heading to Shaw Boulevard. Now, this time, let us take a look at EDSA White Plains. On the left side of your screens, Our vehicles heading to Shaw Boulevard, we got moderate traffic already building up on that lane. Opposite side, the right side of your screens are vehicles going to Cubao, light traffic on that area. Now, heads up to motorists, the expanded vehicle number coding scheme is in full swing. It's a Wednesday, guys, so vehicles with license plates ending in 5 and 6 should be off the road right about now until 10 a.m. and again later from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Now, what will the weather be like this Wednesday? Let's go find out from Paolo as he gives us today's forecast from Weather HQ. Take it away, Paolo.
Thank you so much, Anne. Let's take a look at the local weather where we are keeping a close eye on two weather drivers at the moment. So, first off is the low pressure area right about here. Now, this is already inside the Philippine Air Responsibility and the southwest monsoon or the hanging habagat coming in from here. Now, both weather systems, as I move on over to the side so you can see this just a bit better, is affecting the country today. Well, at least in the Philippine Air Responsibility. Now, I'll explain why in just a bit because we're going to begin with the low pressure area east of the Philippines. Now, as of 3 a.m., it was last spotted about 1,190 kilometers east-northeast of extreme northern Luzon. Now, Pag-asa says that this LPA has a high likelihood of developing into a tropical cyclone within the next 24 hours or before it leaves the Philippine Area of Responsibility. Now, however, because it is too far from the Philippine landmass, it is not expected to directly affect the country. Now, what is affecting the country, on the other hand, is the southwest monsoon. So the southwest monsoon is coming in from over here. Now, this continues to fuel the unstable weather across the regions. Now, this is especially true along the western sections of Luzon and Visayas. Now, you can expect cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms over the Ilocos region and Batanes, Babuyan Islands, Apayao, Zambales, Bataan, and Occidental Mindoro. Now, once again, moderate to heavy downpours in these areas may lead to flash floods or landslides. The habagat will also bring partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms over central Luzon and Metro Manila. Calabarzon will also be affected, the rest of Mimaropa, the Bicol region, and western Visayas. Now, as for the rest of the country, generally fair weather is expected with only isolated showers due to localized thunderstorms. Now, as for the sea conditions, there's good news because there's still no gale warning in effect today. That is despite the southwest monsoon coming in from here. Now, seas across the country are expected to be light to moderate, which means generally calmer waters. However, sudden rough conditions may still occur, particularly during thunderstorms. So to our seafarers, our fisherfolk, or anyone traveling, please continue to monitor the latest weather updates and always put safety first when venturing out to sea. That's it for Weather HQ at the moment. We'll be back later on, and back to you.
Thank you, Pao. Now on to our top stories this morning. The Bureau of Customs has secured all 12 of the Diskaya-linked luxury vehicles flagged as unregistered and possibly smuggled. During their initial raid on the premises of St. Gerard Construction, BOC agents found only 2 luxury vehicles, with 10 being unaccounted for. All vehicles have since been surrendered and are under guard by BOC personnel. Customs Commissioner Ariel Nepomuceno says that with the ongoing pressure of the Blue Ribbon Committee inquiry, the Diskayas are being given the benefit of the doubt.
Ngayon, binibigyan naman natin ng tamang pagkakataon ang mga may-ari, ang Diskaya family na ipakita sa Bureau of Customs yung kanilang mga pinagbayaran. Pag nakita naman natin na tama ang kanilang pinagbayaran, yun ang interest ng Bureau of Customs. Subalit, pag kulang yan or kung may diferensya sa papel, magkakaroon po ng problema ang pamilya.
Commissioner Nepomuceno adds that should the vehicles be found to be smuggled, then the importers and brokers involved will also be facing charges. So they were not able to get all of the luxury vehicles that even Sarah Diskaya herself has claimed that they own.
Yes, so
Yes.
Initially, dalawa yung nahanap, like according to the report, and then eventually, all 12 were secured. But again, so we're showing you a video right now of October 8, 2024, when our very own Kiko Folve also did a feature
Yes.
on this particular, at least at the particular location. And yan, nakita nga natin yung mga luxury cars, and some of them are not even considered luxury cars. If I'm not mistaken, they mentioned that some of the cars there were, well, they didn't consider them as luxury. Kaya yung bilang was around 40, if I'm not mistaken.
40, yes.
Yes, when we were talking about this in particular. But again, the Bureau of Customs, I think, are doing the right thing by giving them the benefit of the doubt in terms of yung papeles kung bayad o hindi. Like in terms of
But the question
whether
is,
or
where
not, yeah.
are the other cars?
Yeah, no, where were they? Because they only found 2
Yeah,
initially.
yeah,
but
yeah.
then they eventually got the rest, right? So 12 of 12
12 of 12.
were secured by the BOC.
So the others are not considered luxury.
Yun nga eh, right? So not all
Because
are
they
considered
have 40,
luxury.
but during the hearing, si Sarah Descayo said that dun sa 40, na dun sa previous interviews, the interviews that people
Yeah.
are talking about, she said herself, and Curly himself said na 40 yung kanila.
Yes.
And then dun sa hearing, sabi ni Sarah, 28 lang daw because
Yes,
the
so-
others are employee vehicles.
Exactly. So, not all of them were considered as luxury.
But wait a minute.
Pero diba,
Ayun ang
napapaano
totoo
ka eh.
doon.
Yes,
Ah,
yes.
diba?
But it actually goes together. Well, if you watch the Senate hearing, nakita natin na, some of the numbers may discrepancies
Yeah,
based
yeah.
on, because here was one of the other problems that I believe that these guys have. Ang daming interview talking about their wealth,
Yeah.
their assets, right? So, syempre, pati tayo, napapaisip. Right now, we're seeing 12 of 12
Yes.
sa report.
Oo.
But we've been hearing in the past, right? There have been more.
And in fact, there has been just recent news that Senator Jinggoy Estrada said that they don't just have 40, 80 yung
Exactly.
number of vehicles.
So the numbers are going back and forth,
Mm.
right? So let's see what the final number will be, and then parang game show, no? What the final number will be in the end.
and it's
But,
gonna be like a hunt.
yes,
You
it
know,
is.
parang where are the other vehicles?
Yeah, and siguro yung mga ownership niya, as long as you can link it to the Discayas, diba?
The
Medyo-
dealerships pa.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
there's
dealership.
that
So,
too.
We'll see what happens there. But of course, speaking of that particular hearing, now during the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing on flood control projects, Sara Discaya admitted that her companies bid against each other for government projects.
That is not a legitimate bidding. Dahil yung siyam na yon na naglalaban-laban sa isang award sa isang kontrata, iisa lang ang may-ari. So kahit sino doon, kahit sinong manalo doon sa bidding na yon, ikaw ang panalo. Dahil sa'yo lahat yun eh.
Now, according to legal experts, should bid rigging be confirmed to be taking place, this would constitute the violation of several laws, such as the Government Procurement Reform Act and the Philippine Competition Act. Finance Secretary Ralph Recto says the irregularities in DPWH flood control projects have so far cost the Philippine economy 118 billion pesos since 2022, and he underscores the urgency to end wasteful spending. Well, you know what, Anne? We talked about this again. We're able to quantify it. Secretary Ralph Recto has done that since 2022 lang. 118 billion since 2022. But remember, according to the statement of Ms. Sara Discaya, na they have been doing flood control projects since 2016 with the
2016,
government.
yes,
So when
yes.
you take a look at that, you can only imagine if you quantify it until 2016, just how big that number would be kung 118 billion pesos only since 2022.
We're talking billions here,
Yes.
my goodness. And sabi niya, 2016, they started the government projects 2016, but they have been bidding even before that.
Yes.
And this is where the controversial bidding comes in, di ba? Parang ito na nga yung sinasabi ni Benjamin Mayor Magalong na bidding pa lang, rigged na. And what do you call this? Director of the new director of DPWH, si Secretary Vince Dizon said that hindi na niya papayagan to.
Yeah.
You know, yung she admitted that all the 9 companies minsan they bid together. So it's like a moro-moro nga ang term ni Secretary Vince describing this rigged bidding? Kasi syempre, ikaw pa rin ang panalo when they pick you, di ba?
Yeah, I mean, like,
so,
it's not as if you're buying multiple tickets to the lottery. It's ensuring that you have all the tickets.
That's
diba?
right.
So that's one of the reasons why nagiging, malaking factor siya. So we'll see what develops from there. Pero again, if you watch the hearings, minsan yung mga narratives shift bigla.
Yes,
So
yes.
we're going to see how this ends eventually.
yeah, and let's see if it does not happen again.
Yes.
Diba? We have the new leadership of the DPWH saying na hindi
If
na
there's
niya to
systemic
papayagan.
change.
Yeah. Ang pagkasabi ko, no way. So, yun ang reaction ni Secretary Vince on this. But moving on, Vice President Sara Duterte slammed the Marcos administration's flood control investigation, calling it too little, too late. She claimed the probe is a diversion tactic and warned that corruption goes beyond flood projects, pointing to school building funds as well.
Alam yun ni President Marcos, ng BBM, alam niya yun kasi tinake up din yun during a meeting in Malacanang. Pero he looked the other way.
Meanwhile, Senator Amy Marcos went further, accusing the administration of pushing Justice Secretary Boying Remulla for the ombudsman post as Plan C to jail VP Sara and her allies after failed attempts. Remulla, however, insisted he would never use the office as a political tool if appointed.
The ombudsman has to be fair. Sa akin naman, it has to be fair. Hindi naman dapat weaponize. It should never be weaponized.
Moving on, Senator Ping Lacson exposed questionable flood control projects in La Union, saying they were inserted into the budget without being part of the original plan. Now, residents and officials claim the funds were diverted into cash payouts for vote buying during the elections. COMELEC recorded 4 reports of vote buying in the province, but all were dismissed after complainants failed to provide evidence. La Union representatives Paolo Ortega and Dante Garcia have yet to comment on the allegation.
Senators raised alarm over the proposed 2026 DPWH budget, flagging more than 880 billion pesos worth of projects with suspicious patterns. Among the red flags, duplicate projects, round figures, missing details, and programs repeated from previous budgets. Senator Win Gatchalian also pointed out that multiple projects worth 150 million each show the system is being gamed to allow corruption. The DBM promised a cleaner version of the budget, with errata expected to strip out the questionable projects.
Well, Leyte 4th District Representative Richard Gomez apologized apologized to the members of the press. Now, this follows his accusation on social media that reporters are being paid to ask for his statement on anomalous flood control projects. He also posted the names and numbers of said journalists in screenshots of their private messages.
Thank you for this opportunity to defend myself and clarify some facts. To the members of the press who took offense in my social media post, I sincerely apologize. Sensitive information has been removed. I understand that the media endeavored to get my side of the story. I acknowledge your efforts. I'm sorry, and I could have handled it better.
The House Ethics Committee has said it is preparing to file a possible complaint against the congressman. Now, this actually made the rounds, especially in, obviously, sa community natin, along sa media, because at the same time, it felt that napakahirap naman if it's a statement that would be released to all of the media. I believe that the question would have been similar, if not the same, halos. And of course, they all work in groups as well, yung mga press corps, especially for certain beats. So I think it's a great move from obviously Representative Gomez to be able to acknowledge that he could have handled it better. And
Yes,
sana,
of course.
it would not be something that would be repeated in the future by even other politicians. Kasi syempre, para sa atin, and in our line of work in particular, we need to get that message.
He felt like he
diba?
was being attacked.
Yes.
But Of course, it wasn't an attack at all.
course.
They wanted to get their side,
Yeah.
his side of the story.
Yes.
So it's good that it ended this way.
Yeah. I mean, like, pati yung reporter nga natin.
Our very own Joash Malimban was part of
Yeah, yeah.
that list.
I'm a friend of friends of with a few of those reporters, and I was like, oh man. But of course, yeah, I think the apology is well received, and
yes.
sana hindi nga maulit, and hopefully we're going to see improved relations between the media and of course the politicians that we cover, kasi syempre kailangan malaman din ng taong bayan kung ano nangyayari, and of course
That's right.
it's part of the job.
Yeah. Now, in world news, dozens of Malaysians gathered outside the Indonesian embassy in Kuala Lumpur in solidarity with Indonesians protesting against their government. Malaysian university students say they are closely watching human rights violations committed against Indonesian students and citizens. The protests began in Jakarta over government spending, including a $3,000 housing allowance for lawmakers. The rallies have since spread nationwide. They escalated into rioting and looting after a police vehicle hit and killed a motorcycle ride-sharing driver. At 10-8 have been reported dead. At least 10 have been reported dead since last week. Now, in other news, Nestle has abruptly dismissed its CEO after just 1 year in his post, throwing the Swiss food giant into its deepest leadership chaos in decades. Nestle said Laurent Fresh's departure follows an investigation into an undisclosed relationship with a subordinate, which breached the company's code of business conduct. The shock departure threatens more volatility for Nestle amid a tough consumer environment and the global threat of trade tariffs. Fresh is replaced by Nespresso chief Philippe Navratil, a rising star at the world's largest food company as it battles slowing sales.
We actually had a conversation.
Yeah, we were
this
talking about
yesterday.
this yesterday.
And I think the joke that we made was that I don't know kung nahuli sa Coldplay
Sa Coldplay,
concert or
that
hindi.
Jumbotron.
Oo.
This seems to be the trend now.
Yeah, I mean, like hopefully we don't have another episode like that. Right? But then yeah, so it was just a light moment, syempre, when you were discussing it before. But of course, it'll be really interesting to see how a global brand like Nestle would pivot here, considering that this is a relatively surprise shakeup.
It's a surprise shakeup indeed. They didn't see this coming.
100%. I also don't think na they saw coming na malaman ng mga tao that he has a relationship with a
Yes.
subordinate. It was undisclosed. I think that was the important part of it. All right, so we're going to move on here to sports. Gilas Pilipinas Youth ends the group stage with a 54-85 loss to New Zealand in the FIBA Under-16 Asia Cup on Tuesday, September 2. Now, on to tennis. Filipino tennis ace Alex Ayala is back on the winning track after a comfortable win against the Netherlands' Ariane Hartono to kick off her Guadalajara Open campaign on Wednesday, September 3. World number 75 Ayala overwhelmed the 187th world-ranked Hartono 6-2, 6-2. This is Ayala's first competition since crashing out of the US Open last month against Cristina Buxa. The Filipino tennis ace will see action again on Thursday, September 4 against world number 122 American Varvara Lepchenko.
Now, here is our first cup of tea this morning. American Vogue has appointed Chloe Mal as their new editorial head. Mal, the daughter of actress Candice Bergen and filmmaker Louis Mal, has been with Vogue for over a decade. Most recently as editor of Vogue.com and co-host of the Run Through podcast. She succeeds Anna Wintour, the Anna Wintour, who is stepping down from the U.S. editorial role to focus on her other work, but will remain Vogue's global editorial director and chief content officer. Every time I read this article on the news, everything about Vogue and everything about Anna Wintour, I always get reminded of Meryl Streep's character on Devil Wears Prada. Yeah. So she's like the peg.
Isn't she one of the bases of the character?
Not really.
Not really,
Yes,
okay.
yes. But people are thinking it's based on Anna Wintour and the character of Meryl Streep. But she already talked about that. We talked about that
Yes,
on the
yes,
show
we did.
before. But so many shakeups have been happening.
Yeah, ito.
Right?
By the way, matching kayo in that
yeah,
one.
Tapos,
Oo.
tapos Vogue. But let's see. She could bring Vogue to a really good direction.
Yeah.
Kasi apparently when she became editor of Vogue.com, tumaas yung viewership.
Yeah, it's a changing landscape.
Yes.
So let's see how it develops from here. Kasi syempre, napaka-iconic yung Vogue, the American Vogue in
Yes, the
particular.
American Vogue. Now, here's another cup of tea. Taylor Swift's upcoming album, The Life of a Showgirl, is already breaking records weeks before its release. It's not even released yet, guys. But Spotify confirms it is now the most pre-saved album in its history, surpassing her own The Tortured Poets department last year. The new album, her 12th studio project, drops October 3 with 12 tracks produced by Max Martin and Shellback. It comes just months after the 35-year-old pop star wrapped her blockbuster Eras tour. So it's not yet out,
Yeah.
but already it is the most pre-saved album in history.
You know, it does help.
Do you feel like maybe the engagement kind of triggered also the success of this new album?
I think it might have, but then remember, it was also announced with Travis Kelce in that podcast. I think we reported it a few weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
And then, I mean, like, I think it's part of it. Syempre, we can't stop talking
Kasi there's
about
there's
Taylor.
talk, diba? Syempre,
Yeah.
she's in the
Look,
spotlight.
I have like a 40-plus-year-old tito, or baka nga 50 nga siya eh, talking about it also, yung engagement nila.
Everybody's talking about it,
Yeah.
regardless of age.
I mean, like, I'm sure naman they did not plan the album release and the engagement, right? Siguro love and business don't mix that much. But, for me, it did help. It does
Yeah.
help. Like, even I'm more aware of Taylor now because of this. I'm definitely more aware of Travis Kelce now because of this. So, yeah, I mean, like, hey, congratulations to Taylor and the rest of her team for breaking that Spotify record.
And
yeah.
the project, the album is going to be out October 3.
Tagal pa.
So there are 12 tracks to look forward to. October 3, medyo matagal pa.
Yeah.
Pwede pa kayo mag-pre-save.
Yeah, like,
sa
like
Spotify.
break even more records.
Yes,
Oo.
please. Now, for a final cup of tea, as questions swirl over corruption and flood control projects, criticism is now spilling into the lifestyles of high-profile influencers. Among those in the spotlight is Heart Evangelista, the wife of Senate President Cheese Escudero. A public interest lawyer has openly questioned the source of her wealth, amid Escudero's own admission that his campaign took in 30 million pesos from a firm linked to flood control contracts.
But if you look 2010 to 2012, yung height ng career niya before Cheese Escudero, normal na artista lang naman siya noon eh. Hindi pa siya nagfa-fashion week, hindi siya nakakasuot ng mga Balenciaga, wala naman siya ng mga super high-end Hermes na mga luxury talaga. Of course, generous ang asawa mo. Mamahalin ka talaga ng asawa mo. Okay yun. Kung si Cheese, let's say, generous talaga kay Heart, fina-finance yung lifestyle niya. Pero kung yung source ng wealth ni Cheese ay questionable, then now we can question Heart as well.
Well, you know, that's so interesting kasi syempre,
We've just
when
been
it comes-
talking about
Yeah,
Nepo babies.
Nepo babies, diba?
And
Now, to be
celebrity
fair,
wives.
Celebrity
Yes.
wives. Nepo wives.
Nepo wives.
Nepo wives, tama ba yun? But then, yeah.
Oo nga, no? Tama ba?
Yeah,
Nepo
parang,
wives.
I'm not quite sure. But
Okay.
anyway, yeah, they have been, syempre, cancelled, attacked, and, you know, been really scrutinized over
Yeah.
on social media. Si Heart, syempre, big dahil artista nga siya and medyo fashion icon. I would argue, I don't know how she got to Fashion Week, how she became successful also internationally in terms of her fashion work. I cannot. I personally don't know.
Isn't
Pero
her
syempre,
family wealthy naman
Yes,
talaga?
she has a wealthy family.
Heart Evangelista's family.
Yes, a wealthy family. Like even from high school, we actually went. Her high school is my grade school, so I was a bit familiar with yung background niya
Maybe
even
it's just
before.
the timing of things.
Yeah, no, the
you
timing
know,
is really
kasi
terrible.
she got married to
Yeah.
the Senator Cheese, and then it's probably not because of this sudden joint wealth, but
Yeah.
more of dito dumating yung opportunities for her to join Fashion Week, and then dito siya this is the time where she really bloomed.
Yes.
You know?
And at the same time rin, it does not help that, as mentioned in the statement, or at least in the criticism, is that si Senator Chis Escudero did admit that he did accept campaign funds from a firm linked to the flood control projects, around 30 million pesos. Kaya the scrutiny is increased.
Yes,
diba?
but the owner of that that firm already admitted that the donation came from his own pocket.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they say that, and at the same time, syempre, you still can't get rid of the links,
Yeah,
diba?
true,
Yung mga
true.
linkages. So we're gonna
Yes.
find out how this develops. Personally, I do not know how Hart will react.
React
and
to this.
of course,
just don't react. If I were in her shoes,
You don't think
I'd
you'd
just-
react?
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we'll see. Kasi syempre, the internet has become a very volatile place, especially for when the people feel, and I think rightly so, that may outrage when it comes to the lifestyle of certain people. Pero ako personally, if I'm not sure if Hart's recent success, especially overseas, would have been dependent on her relationship or
With
her
Senator
yeah,
Cheese.
on her relationship with Senator Cheese Escudero.
Later on, we'll talk
Yeah.
more about that topic
Yeah,
with our
100%.
guest for the Hangout with our BookTok expert.
Yes.
But Besties Ask is up next. But before we move on, let's say hi to our very own Ferdy Salvador.
He's
who
up
just
early.
messaged me. Yes, he messaged me listening to you and Paolo in the car. Good morning. Good morning, Ferdy.
Via radio ba yan? Or via...
The radio, because we are
sakto.
simulcast on Mellow 94.7 BFM.
Exactly. And in fact, we're going to go, visit them, sort of.
Yes, we're going to be talking to DJ Yen of Mellow 94.7 BFM. Our topic today, what's one failure that turned out to be a blessing in disguise? So stay tuned. Beautiful day. We'll be right back. Hi there, welcome back. You're still watching Beautiful Day. It's time for the ultimate crossover to brighten up your day. DJ Yen joins us all the way from Mellow 94.7 BFM studio. Good morning, bestie.
Good morning. Good morning, Anne. Good morning, Pao.
Good morning.
So we are doing Besties Ask today.
Yeah, Besties
Yeah.
Ask today.
Tell us all about our topic, DJ Yen.
Okay, today is something a little more deeper in a sense. What is one failure or one setback that turned out to be a blessing in disguise?
Ooh. So after we've talked about puro dating the past couple of days, ito naman medyo serious na. A failure
Yeah.
that turned to be a blessing in disguise.
Pwede naman a relationship that did not work. Blessing
Pwede rin
din
yun.
no?
Yeah. So anything that
Okay,
didn't
yeah.
work out and then it turned out to be a good thing. Diba?
All right, DJ Yen, do
Who
you
goes
have...
first?
Let's have DJ Yen do it.
Yes,
Go
okay.
first. Okay,
She's
I
the
can go
host
first.
slash guest
You're the
here.
host, yes.
Okay, so I can go first. Well, when I was in college, I was supposed to graduate October 2024.
Oh my
But the
God.
thing is, I got into trouble. Like, I got into a lot of trouble when I was in college. That really pushed me or forced me to graduate a little earlier.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like it was such a setback at the time because I really had to finish all my units in one go just so that I can leave university. But I think it was just a really blessing in disguise because it gave me more time to figure out what I want before I actually started working this year. So from that, became courtside reporter somewhere, started hosting somewhere, and then before I eventually got a job. So I think getting in trouble really turned out to be a blessing in disguise for me.
Okay.
Saya
Ang
naman
di ako makaget over yung she was supposed to graduate 2024.
Oo.
Sandali lang.
Kasi medyo...
Anong year ba tayo nag-graduate?
I graduated
Lalo na
10 years
ako.
before her. I was 10 years before her. My gosh.
Ako batch 2000. So imagine mo how long ago was that? Pero college story din yung...
Long ago.
Oo nga naman. Not so long ago.
Yeah.
Yes. Paolo, how about you?
Okay, how about Pao?
Yeah,
How about
no,
Paolo?
for me-
What is one failure?
No, I mean, like, I think it was not just one, it was multiple failures. Kasi nagsimula ako, right? Actually, out of college, because I have a double degree, right? So, I have advertising and I have a communications background. Pero at the same time, so, syempre, the first line of work I wanted to get into was actually advertising. And I did not make it to any of the companies that I pursued. As in, like, literal. Like, at one point nga, walang, like, no one would even consider yung resume ko kahit kapal. Right?
Oh, really?
Kasi sa sobrang daming, like,
I
kasi
wonder why,
it was a
though.
competitive market, to be
Okay.
honest. It's
Yeah.
competitive kasi there are only so many spots. Pero syempre, so, I lucked out with, opportunity back then with TV5, and then was able to build myself from there, being a writer.
You
sa
even
CNN
tried radio,
Philippines.
right?
I did radio for a
Yes.
while, yeah.
Oo.
And just realized it wasn't for me.
Yeah,
Oo,
Paolo.
so, but then, yeah, I mean, like, but at least there's a bit of background, diba? Pero
yeah.
I think that was good kasi at the end of the day din naman, if one door opens, one door closes, another one opens, I believe that statement really is true. Kasi syempre, it's not as if like a one failure and then tapos na, right? There's always going to be another thing that you gotta do, another thing that you gotta move on to. And for me, things could have gone different if I did end up in advertising. Siguro mas mayaman ako ngayon.
Probably, because they make so much money.
I mean, like, yes, right? So,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, right? Like, to all my friends in advertising right now,
You're so lucky.
saludo ako sa inyo kasi...
My
Grabe.
sister-in-law.
Oo.
Yeah.
Pero stress sila.
Stress.
Sobrang
That's
stress
so true.
sila.
Wala silang tulog and
Oo.
everything, but the monetary compensation
Yeah.
is good.
It's good, right?
Yes.
Hindi ko tulad sa atin, stress lang. But,
Wait,
no,
grabe ka
that's not true.
naman.
That's not true. That's not
Oo.
true.
Boss,
That's a
hindi
joke.
po,
That's a joke. Boss, hindi po. Pero wag dagdagan nyo na ng konti. Okay, pwede rin yan. Oo.
Piyaw pala. Using Besties Ask to hint sa bosses.
Dapat
You
besties
just let
ask.
everything out.
Dapat besties ask for more to eh. So, yeah. I mean, like,
Besties Ask from the boss.
ayun, pwede rin. Hi, boss.
Oh my goodness. Okay, my turn. My turn is kind of like that also. It's not really a failure. It's just that I decided to change paths because my family has a business. We run computer schools. And during college, I was already working for my dad. And my dad was already grooming me to be the next president of the company.
Kala ko ng
So,
bansa.
hindi. Oh my gosh. Teka lang. Ayoko noon, nakaka-stress. Iikot ako sa mga flood control project. Di ko kaya. But anyway, so there, I decided to change paths because I didn't, well, maybe I failed my dad, but then I decided to go into radio because I tried out in different radio stations and then I got my break, so Wave 89.1, and that opened doors of opportunities for me. So there. That path change that I decided to take led me to being here right now. So from radio, and then I ventured into voice acting, and then I ventured into television. So alam mo yon, I decided to separate myself from what my dad had planned for me, and it proved to be a blessing in disguise, I guess.
Yeah.
So it led me to where I am today. But I broke my dad's heart for a time. He was sad and disappointed. My dad has passed on, by the way. But eventually he accepted, the fact that I kind of failed his dream, his plan for me. But he accepted that this was my choice for my life. And he told me that he was proud of me. Yeah.
I mean, like, I think it's safe to say, DJ Yen, diba, na minsan things don't go to script.
Yes, that's
And
true.
that
That's true.
doesn't necessarily mean, I don't know, it's gonna go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does,
Did you
but
ever-
luckily enough for some people, it proves to be a blessing in disguise. Yeah.
That's true. Did you ever feel like you were a failure during the situations you were in the past, though? Like me personally, I felt like everything was just gonna go into like pieces and all that.
Well, personally, I think the feeling like a failure is normal. Like,
It's true.
It
There will be
happens.
times
Yeah, I mean,
that you feel like, oh my gosh, I
It's
don't
not-
think I'm in the right place.
Yeah,
I'm not doing well.
It doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel that. Syempre, different degrees minsan. And I think that's just all part of it. Kasi syempre, when you take a look at just how competitive life could be, whether you're at work or whether you're at school or graduate mo lang, there's always going to be moments where nothing always turns out perfectly right, like the way that you wanted it. Normally, there's gonna be bumps in the road, right? So, I mean, like, I think na, feeling like a failure happens.
It happens.
Pero
yes.
syempre, it always has to, yung importante doon yung resiliency to be able to turn that failure into something more productive.
That's true. It can be your stepping stone. All these bumps on the road can actually help you grow, right? Learning from your mistakes, learning from these struggles, and then they make you stronger and they make you better, right?
And I think it gives you a story to tell others. If
That's
somebody
true.
comes to you and
Yeah.
asks you for advice, they'll think you're the smartest person ever.
Yeah, I mean, like, at the end of the day din naman, at yung mga failures natin, nagiging baon na kwento.
Yeah, that's
for
true.
Yeah.
for a lot of it. At the same time, syempre, the failures are the ones that make you who you are.
That's
Apart
true.
from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
success.
Yeah.
And if any sports person would know, you're probably gonna miss more shots than you make, rather. So, it's just all part of it. I say probably kasi hindi naman lahat tayo Michael Jordan. But then, DJ Yen, we're gonna wrap things up here in just a bit. But then, have anyone actually replied already to your Besties Ask?
We are collecting some replies as of now. At this time, not a lot of besties answer yet. It's 7:40 in the morning. So
Okay.
maybe in just a little bit, I'll read it on the radio.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, our bestie, DJ Yen, till our next hangout on Wednesday. Thanks, DJ Yen. Thanks, bestie.
Thank you so much.
Ang ganda nung topic natin,
100%. Yeah, I mean, like,
That was deep.
that was very deep.
Yes,
And,
yes.
sana may mga na-inspire din doon. I mean, like, kasi syempre, stories of failure normally comes with stories of redemption
Yes,
as well.
that's
So,
true.
hopefully, if you are in that siguro point at the moment, sana yung redemption nyo comes very soon.
Tsaka pag nadaanan mo all these struggles and then you rise up from it, it makes you feel like, oh my gosh, I really deserve this success.
Yeah, yeah.
Diba?
It feels earned.
It was not
Earned,
served
not
on a
given.
silver platter.
Yes.
Parang yung ibang mga...
Certain people.
certain people, di ba? Pinaghirapan mo talaga. You really worked for this success.
Yes.
You failed, you fell, and then you rose up from it.
That is
Diba?
true. That is true. All right, so speaking of great topics, we have another great one coming for you because when we return, we'll hear from band Toxics, Jam Lorenzo on why a stronger global plastics treaty is crucial. Stay tuned. A beautiful day. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Beautiful Day. This is Weather HQ. Now, as of 6:07 a.m. today, Pag-asa has issued a thunderstorm advisory for Occidental Mindoro and Palawan. Now, you can expect moderate to heavy rain showers, lightning, and strong winds within the next 1 to 2 hours. To all of the people affected, please stay alert and take the necessary precaution. Now, moving on to our interview today, because plastic pollution isn't just an environmental problem, it is also a public health and disaster risk, especially here in the Philippines, where single-use plastics clog waterways and worsen flooding. With global treaty talks stalling, advocates warn that weak action will leave the most vulnerable communities bearing the heaviest burden. To talk about why a stronger binding plastics treaty matters and what it means for the Philippines, we're joined via Zoom by Jam Lorenzo, Deputy Executive Director of Ban Toxics. Magandang umaga, Mr. Lorenzo. Welcome to Beautiful Day.
Magandang umaga sa ating lahat.
All right, Jam, let's start off first with your organization, of course, what this plastics treaty is all about. We've had Ban Toxics on the show before, but to those listeners and viewers who are getting introduced to Ban Toxics for the first time, can you tell us a bit more about your organization ninyo? And of course, why there's so much concern with this plastics treaty that is stalling at the moment?
Yeah. Okay, so hello everyone. So Ban Toxics, we are an environmental organization that focuses on chemicals and waste issues. So our main objectives are to contribute towards minimizing the impacts to human health and environment of chemicals and waste. So we work at the policies. We work on policies at the global and local levels, and we also start communications and advocacy campaigns. And we also have a community development unit that works on the ground with our partner communities. Yes.
As of right now, there's a plastics treaty that's being talked about globally. Pero as of recent developments, medyo nagsastall siya. Why do you feel that it is being stalled? And of course, if it is rushed at the same time, wouldn't that necessarily mean a weaker agreement would be concluded rather than something that would be more sweeping?
Okay, so for those listening, Ban Toxics has been involved in the plastic treaty negotiations since even before the negotiations officially started with the intergovernmental negotiating committees. So the original treaty was supposed to be finished last year sa Busan with INC 5. But then hindi rin siya natapos there, and we extended the talks to Geneva, which concluded just a few weeks ago. However, hindi pa rin natapos yung treaty text doon. But on our end, yes, of course, the negotiations have stalled, Pero on our end, we think that it's a good thing because in Geneva, ambitious countries did not accept weak text from the chair, So the thing is, this shows that countries are pushing for ambition. They are pushing for globally binding requirements. On our end, our stand has always been no treaty is better than a bad treaty because no treaty continues pressure on polluting countries. However, a bad treaty with weak obligations is an excuse for countries to continue polluting. So on our end, we're trying to keep staying positive regarding the negotiations.
So what would strong obligations look like when it comes to the plastics treaty? What do you feel needs to be done, or at least is achievable and realistic based on the talks that have happened recently?
Okay, a strong globally binding treaty should include mainly two things. Number one is a ban on production, especially of unnecessary plastics. And number two, banning chemicals that are toxic that are in plastics.
Well, you mentioned yung production aspect niya. When you take a look at reducing plastic production at the source, and of course, when you take a look at making sure that excluded yung mga chemicals, harmful toxins that are present in certain plastics nowadays. When you talk about yung realistic ambitions ng treaty na to, and of course, the negotiations that you've heard of so far, how close or how far are we to reaching that point now that you mentioned that certain countries are pushing for even stronger regulations in this treaty?
Yeah, so like we said earlier, ambitious countries, the majority of countries around the globe, are pushing for an ambitious treaty. It's only just maybe around 10 countries na hindi agree with the ambition. And we think this is very problematic, and we think this is a reflection ng kakulangan ng rules of procedure when discussing treaties. No? Kasi currently, what we're working on is a consensus approach, meaning we can't agree on anything unless everybody agrees on it. No? And this is problematic because, of course, plastic-producing countries will always push for low ambition. So, and plastics, as we all know, has a lot of problems related to it. Waste management efforts have failed historically, no? So every year we produce 460 million metric tons of plastics. And historically, ever since plastic came onto the scene, only 9% have been recycled, no? And plastics in itself is a problematic material. Plastics, 99% of it is derived from carbon, which comes from fossil fuels, no? So it drives climate change. Plastics is made up of more than 16,000 chemicals released by a study by Plastchem last year. So it inherently exposes us to a lot of health risks. And finally, it's not a circular material. No? Recycling plastics can shed microplastics. And as we all know, sa dami ng studies na lumabas in recent years, everyone has microplastics in our bodies. No? So a lot of countries are pushing for ambition to reduce the environmental and health impacts, but we need to push more.
Let's talk about the Philippines in particular, because the Philippines is notorious for being one of the bigger plastic pollutants, even if we are one of those countries being mostly affected by climate change in particular. Medyo nasa sachet economy pa rin tayo talking about the Philippines. When it comes to a systemic shift or a cultural shift even here in the Philippines, just how big is the task at hand, especially for your organization?
Oh yes. So just to clarify on the statement that that Philippines is one of the biggest polluters, no. So this is also a misconception because the Philippines, like a lot of Southeast Asian countries, recipient tayo ng illegal na plastic waste. So that drives the plastic pollution in our country even higher than it should be. So and then going back to your sachet economy. That also helps drive plastic pollution in the country because it shows that waste infrastructure in the country can't really catch up, no? And it's disappointing because we've always had these solutions, no? We've always had these solutions not only in the Philippines but in Southeast Asia. Just a few examples, no? If you remember from decades ago, nung wala pa yung plastics, nung hindi pa ganun ka-prevalent yung plastics, we have all these solutions such as deposit systems, reuse and refill, and we see this in a lot of smaller areas in the country, and they help contribute towards, reducing yung plastics na napoproduce natin. Yeah.
Well, of course, we're taking a look back locally as well. It already feels that we are experiencing the effects, we always talk about solid waste management, but then when we take a look at the waterways in particular, there is an enormous amount of plastic-based waste as well that we've seen clogging our waterways, and of course, plastic pollution is one of the bigger problems in general sa solid waste management dito sa Pilipinas. When you take a look at the recent flooding, the recent climate changes in terms of the amount of storms coming in, just how much more urgent is it in particular for our country to also address this problem locally?
Oh, it's very it's very urgent for us, no. So with regards to plastic and yung impacts niya on waste on flooding sa atin, no, the easiest response is it's a reflection of improper waste management, no. Sabi mo nga, bumabara sa drainages, it ruins a lot of our infrastructure. Pero at the bigger looking at the bigger picture of it, no, hindi lang yan yung contribution ng plastics towards yung flooding natin. Kasi the refinement of plastics, for example, emits around 200 million metric tons of greenhouse gases, which contribute to climate change, which we have seen is reflected on the increasing number of cyclones, typhoons na na-encounter natin in the country. No, and yung landfilling ng single-use plastics, no, going back to the sachet economy na nabanggit mo kanina, yung landfills, they account for more than 15% of methane emissions. So all of these contribute towards increasing yung frequency ng storms sa atin, and yun nga, na-highlight lalo na yung infrastructure in the country can't catch up. So yun talaga yung main problem natin.
All right, so the final round of negotiations is expected in 2026, especially for this for any global changes when it comes to this plastic treaty. Just what can we do at the moment? Medyo, I know 2026 is only a few months away, pero syempre, we're also looking for immediate action. What calls are you making, especially from the government, LGUs, or even the local citizenry to address this plastic pollution problem that we have?
So okay, even though 2026 matatapos yung treaty, mag-enter into force lang din siya a few years after that. So medyo matagal pa, no? Medyo matagal pa yung bubunuin natin na time. So on our end, in the Philippines, nakita natin sa mga recent issues na lumabas, basically stop the corruption, no? Let's funnel our funds into waste management infrastructure that we desperately need. And let's change our perspectives regarding waste management kasi the thing is a lot of local government units, a lot of national government agencies. When we talk about waste control, we are just looking at existing waste and how to manage them. No, but we should change our perspectives. When we talk about waste management, it should be about preventing and reducing the waste that we produce. No, and when we talk about preventing and reducing the waste that we produce, for example, titignan natin yung mga single-use plastics. If we can easily replace them with reusable and more sustainable materials, ang laki kagad ng reduction ng waste na yon. For example, one hospital, not in the Philippines, no, but in another country, established a reuse system for water, a refill system for water in their hospital. This immediately led to the reduction of around 4,000 water bottles in 6 months for their hospital. So these little actions na pwede nating implement in the country can prevent and reduce the waste that we generate in the first place. And of course, we should always follow the environmentally sound management standards na binibigay sa atin ng mga global standards, no?
Jam, we really appreciate you and your insights that you've given, especially clarifying the status of the Philippines as one of the leading producers of plastics globally, considering that turns out to be more caveats to that. We really appreciate your time and your insights. He's a Deputy Executive Director of Ban Toxics, Jam Lorenzo. Maraming salamat and have a great morning.
Thanks so much.
That's it for Weather HQ at the moment, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Pao. Now it's time for us to find out what the stars have in store for us today. Let's go hear it from our resident energizer and feng shui master, Hans Kua, in our horoscope of the day. Take it away, Master Hans.
Good morning! Beautiful day with me, Bilyonaryo Master Hans Kua. Ito po ang horoscope for today, araw ng Wednesday, September 3. Simulan natin sa mga pinanganak ng Year of the Rat. Maaaring madali ang isang plano, pero may mas magandang kapalit yan. Gold at 8. Kay Ox naman tayo, iwasan ang cold treatment. Mas mabuting harapin ang mga issue. Green at 2. Kay Tiger naman, masaya ang araw kung kasama ang pamilya. Planuhin na ang bonding time. Red at 7. Kay Rabbit naman tayo, may tutol sa idea mo, pero huwag magpadala. Ipaglaban kung alam mong tama ka. Violet at 8. Kay Year of Dragon naman tayo, mag-ingat sa mga iniinom na tubig. Siguraduhin na malinis ang tubig na to. Gray at 5. Kay Sig naman tayo, iwasan ang sugal o anumang risk ngayong araw. Blue at 6. Ito naman, kay of the Horsey, may maikling tampuhan pero maayos din kung mag-effort ka. Yellow at 1. Kay Ship naman tayo, maging mapagbigay pero huwag kalimutan, alagaan din ang sarili. Gold at 3. Kay Monkey naman tayo, makakatanggap ng tip o clue tungkol sa isang profitable na idea. Pink at 9. Kay Rooster naman tayo, may chance na ma-promote kung ipagpapatuloy ang sipag at diskarte. Cream at 6. Kay Year of the Dog naman tayo, ingat tayo sa likod. Huwag magbuhat ng mabigat nang walang warm-up. Brown at 2. Sa last tayo sa Year of the Pig naman, huwag basta-basta mag-sign ng kontrata. Basahin munang maigi yan. Yellow at 5. Paalala lang, ito po'y patnubay lamang. Ang tunay na swerte ay nagsisimula sa pagiging totoo. Abangan araw-araw ang horoscope of the day. Dito lang po sa Beautiful Day! day with me, Master Hans Kua.
Thank you, as always, Master Hans Kua. I love that he's wearing the same color as us today. Parang kasama siya sa color coordination.
Yeah.
But we always look forward to our horoscope. Thank you so much, Master Hans. A lot of people joining us on Facebook and on YouTube. On YouTube, Cheeky sent us a message again saying 112 days before Christmas, sabi niya. But Cheeky, you know what? I checked on Google, it's 113 days. So as of today, September, ano bang yan? 3. Right? September 3 to December 25,
Well,
113 days before Christmas.
Perhaps if you discount today, I think it might be 112, right?
112.
Starting
So,
tomorrow's 100. I think,
there.
But then either way, we're at that point where we're
Yes,
counting
we're
down.
counting down the days. Mamaya meron na rin tayo. Didn't we have like a countdown before?
Yeah, we
like
did.
a visual
Oo.
countdown there. And we have people on Facebook. John Victor saying good morning, watching on YouTube, Blast TV, and Mellow 94.7
Lahat
BFM.
na.
Lahat talaga. He's
Marami
following
kayong
us there.
TV, on nyo na lahat.
Thank you, John Victor. I can just imagine his living room like having so many TV sets.
Yeah.
Tapos nakaiba-ibang station. Parang yung newsroom natin.
Oo.
Right.
Actually.
And then Nicolas Rimorin Gordo says, watching Beautiful Day because it makes my day more beautiful. I just love your profound topic on failure becoming a blessing or redemption by sharing personal experiences and an inspiration for us, your audience. Have a pleasant day as well.
Oh, that's
Thank
sweet.
you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
That's really nice. I do love our topic for Besties Ask.
Oh, yeah.
And if you guys want to send your answers, you can either send it to us,
Or
YouTube,
BFM.
or Facebook, or you can send it to them, our besties on Mellow 94.7 BFM.
Yes, I think, again, I think that's what it's all about rin minsan. Kasi, we do talk about the news a lot here. But then I think it's also important that the type of topics that we have here, or the things that we do talk about in general,
They're very relatable.
they're relatable,
Yes.
and of course that it ends up helping make your day more beautiful in general. Kasi syempre, that's the whole point.
They might feel that we're closing our comment section, our chat box.
No, it's
not yet. So
keep on going.
we still have one guest joining us, and I'm sure you guys would have a lot of questions to throw our
Oh
guest
yeah,
today.
yeah, 100%.
We got an interesting topic.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Because coming up, say hello to one of BookTok's most trusted faces. If you're looking for unfiltered takes, Andrea Panaligan is your girl. We'll get into all the bookish chaos when Beautiful Day comes back. Stay tuned. Today's guest is a go-to voice for all things book talk. We had an interesting conversation right before we went back on air kung if you're wondering kung bakit ako galit, all right? But we're going to talk about that later on. Now, from intriguing book reviews to hard-hitting rants on feminism and culture, you surely don't want to miss her on your For You page. Besides her life in content creation, she's also the editor-in-chief of Young Star, the youth-focused lifestyle section of the Philippine Star. Andrea Panaligan joins us here today in The Hangout. Beautiful day and welcome to the show, Andrea. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, beautiful day. Good morning. I love her outfit. Can I
Yes.
just say that before we start?
Yes, but then she's not in red.
She's
not in red.
You're a girl boss in red, but
Yeah.
you're not in red. Okay lang naman daw. From
Oo.
time to time, the girl boss can change her colors.
True. Girl
Yes.
Boss in Red is her TikTok account. You can check her out. And I think you would like to because she has more than 46,000 followers and 1.6 million likes over on TikTok. So let's start off first with yung social media presence mo because it has been very impactful in so many ways. There are a lot of people who can relate to you. There are a lot of people who love your takes. They're unfiltered. They're very you. You don't care what other people think. You just go. All right? So when you take a look at the social media platform that you do have, how would you describe it as? And of course, how do you keep people engaged, especially in this world where everyone has an opinion?
I think how I describe the account is I don't want to be the final word in anything. Parang gusto ko kasali lang ako sa discussion. I don't want to be the closing remarks, kumbaga.
Okay.
So the goal really is to keep the audience curious and engaged dun sa topic. So the format of my videos, just a quick explainer on how it looks like. It's usually me sitting down and then saying my take, ganyan. And at the end of the video, maglalapag ako ng, okay, if you want to learn more about this topic, ito yung mga libro na binasa ko that maybe you would like to read as well. Here are the articles that I used to research, ganyan. So I want it to be a continuous conversation. And I think with my background as a culture journalist, I wanted to do short form videos kasi I wanted to meet the audience where they are.
Yeah.
Kasi ang young people naman, baka interested sila in something pero they wouldn't read like an online article about it. They wouldn't buy a newspaper to read something about it. Kasi where are they hanging out? Sa TikTok, sa social media, ganyan. So I wanted to go kung nasan sila. So I wanted to meet them sa TikTok.
Tsaka the young ones, they really watch mga short form videos and posts, diba? So it's so perfect that you are using TikTok to promote reading, promote your advocacy. So your TikTok handle, Girl Boss in Red, you are a book talker. So may term na talaga na ganon, right? A book talker. This is so timely because we had a guest from the National Book Development Board, and then we talked about BookTok as well and how it really helps the young ones get into reading. But you know, book talkers often talk about hitting that reading slump. Parang wala na masyadong nagbabasa ng actual books, di ba? And the sudden loss of motivation to read. Since so much of your content revolves around reading, paano mo pinupush or how do you push through these moments and really, you know, like really encourage the young ones, your generation, to like grab a book and read again?
Super relate dyan sa reading slum kasi ako kahit as a BookTok creator, I still get that parang nakatamad mag-read, ganyan. Ang daming ibang pwedeng gawin.
Yeah.
And I always advise, kasi I got questions on TikTok din na, paano ka nagbabasa ng ganyan karami in a month? Ganyan. So I always ask na, ano ba ang barriers mo personally, like on an individual level? Kasi iba-iba naman tayo ng circumstances. Like, kung marami kang ginagawa sa school or sa work, that's a barrier, ganyan, na sobrang busy mo. Or kung nagko-commute ka to your office or your school 2 hours a day, that's also a barrier, ganyan. So iba-iba tayo ng, parang iba-iba yung nagpipigil sa atin sa pagbabasa. And access din is one big issue kasi mahal ang mga libro.
Yeah.
And hindi ka naman, kung hindi ka surrounded ng libro, like wala kang mahihiraman, ganyan, baka mahirap ding magsimula. So iba-iba siya, and I think it really helps if you take a look at ano ba yung itsura ng everyday life mo and thinking, saan ba ako pwedeng magpasok ng pagbabasa dito?
You know, we were actually talking about how TikTok, how yung current Gen Z, yung generation, you know, below us.
Below us?
Below us. No, below us in terms of yung age, okay? In terms of yung
the
age.
young ones.
The young ones.
Yeah.
Young ones lang tayo. Young ones sila. Oo, pero they say that the attention span has definitely fallen. And that's the reason why TikTok's the thing. Like, attention span, kung dati, in movies, you had like 15 minutes or 10 minutes to actually hook people's attention. Right now, you need 5 seconds. Right? So, how do you promote books that notoriously take more than 5 seconds to actually get hooked on and convince that generation to pick it up?
I think over the years that I've started creating content about books, yan talaga yung parang isa sa challenges. Kasi kahit ako mismo, as a, mahilig magbasa, yung attention span ko, umiikli na din siya eh. Kasi with how much we're inundated with short form content. And not just short form, as in parang dopamine overload talaga na pagka-scroll mo pa lang, ang daming sounds, ang daming nangyayari, ganyan. So I always try, in a way, na medyo ganun din yung mga video, na it's always me na nakaupo lang eh, pero nilalagyan ko siya ng mga lumilitaw na words, mga sounds, ganyan. Parang it's an invite to, guys, tignan niyo ako, ganyan. And then we can sit down together and kind of think about what's happening in the world and think about the books that we're reading, ganyan. And I always say na reading in itself as a habit has so many benefits. It's not just being able to say na, okay, nakabasa na ako. It's parang it has so many benefits for you as a person na din. Parang it expands your empathy, it makes your worldview so much richer and more colorful. So I think sobrang important talaga na kahit na ang daming umaagaw sa attention natin, nakakuha pa rin nating mag-slow down and sit down with a book. Ganyan.
What kind of books do you usually recommend on your TikTok account?
I recommend a lot of feminist nonfiction.
Okay.
Kasi I talk a lot about how we view women in society, for example, or yung mga social issues na nangyayari. Kasi young people, kahit na ang attention span natin ay umiikli na, we still have so much care and concern sa kung ano nangyayari sa mundo. So I always try to recommend books na may matututunan sila or it's something that can help them process and interpret the bigger issues that's happening in the world.
You talk about issues around the world, and actually that's a perfect segue. Kasi syempre, when you take a look at your account and you go through your different posts, and of course, you're not afraid to do social commentary yourself. And I think that's what has attracted a lot of people to you as well. Kasi syempre, it's someone who's not afraid to speak her mind, and whether or not the opinion may be popular or not, you're able to express it. So when you talk about how being a content creator actually comes with a certain responsibility, I think that you really took that to heart. What is your approach to that, especially considering na yung social climate natin ngayon a bit testy, to say the least?
I think coming from my experience with Young Star, I get to work with a lot of young writers talaga, and I get to see firsthand what are they interested in, ano yung pinagbubuhusan nila ng panahon, what are the things that they want to write about. And lumilitaw doon syempre like internet trends, mga celebrities, ganyan. Pero so much of it are trying to make sense of issues that are so much bigger than us, like the climate, ganyan, or politics. Ito yung mga bagay na parang nung pinanganak tayo sa mundo, ito na yung nangyayari. And now we're living in the world, we're trying to make sense of it. And that's, I think that's what takes up so much of the mental space of Gen Z. And that's why I wanted to talk about it on TikTok as well. Kasi alam ko na parang ito yung iniisip talaga nila. Ito yung parang hindi naman nagbabother. Parang ito yung may pake talaga sila. Ganyan. So I wanted to reach out and say na, okay, here are some of the things that I know. Here are some of the things that I've learned through reading. Maybe I can share it with you, and maybe it can incite in you a love for reading as well.
Yeah. Speaking of relevant issues, pinag-usapan ngayon, of course, yung mga political nepo babies, right? They're receiving so much backlash for their lavish lifestyles, diba? Yung what they post on Instagram, on TikTok. And you actually posted a TikTok commentary about this yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday. Do you think, so what is your take on this issue? And then do you think that they deserve to be at the center of this cancel culture that's happening right now?
I think reckoning with corruption is always a good thing. Lalo na if it's in this scale na as in long-standing, historical, parang well-oiled network talaga siya of corruption involving not just government officials but also like private citizens, yung mga contractors, kanya, and then their families as well. So sobrang important na we're starting to see and we're starting to feel so much frustration, disappointment, and rage about it. And cancel culture kasi is parang that's the vernacular of social media talaga. Yan yung parang that's how we express our emotions, our frustrations, ganyan. So parang for me, natural na cancel culture yung magiging response natin when we learned na ito pala yung nangyayari behind the scenes sa pera ng bahay.
Yeah, sorry, Anne, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, but do you feel like the anger is redirected? Instead of focusing on the real issue here, which is corruption, which is flood control projects. Instead of focusing your anger on that, we're focusing on the nepo babies, on their buying so many luxury items, luxury cars. Do you feel that, first the anger is redirected, and where do we draw the line? How do you draw the line between objectively calling them out and insulting them, diba? And then really focusing on the issue itself?
I think with how we're insulting, as you said, yung mga nepo babies, parang they're in the form of memes, ganyan. And I think, in a way, meron siyang function kasi
Okay.
yung memes ay parang napapalipad niya yung balita.
Okay.
Kasi yung, halimbawa, news article, ganyan. May mga magbabasa niyan, pero siguro not as much as kung nakakatawa yung meme, ganyan. So, in a way, meron siyang ganong function. Pero I agree na parang it's not enough ba na we just attack yung mga may designer bags,
Right,
yung mga may kotse. Syempre, it's so frustrating to see what they do with people's money. Pero at the end of the day, hindi lang naman kasi sila yung nakikinabang at hindi lang naman sila yung parte ng network nga ng corruption na nangyayari. And it can be easy to spend so much of our attention dun sa spectacle of it. Kasi parang siya medyo ma-showbiz vibes nga.
Yeah.
Siyempre,
True.
parang
Very.
magaganda yung damit, magaganda yung bahay. Parang madali tayong masilaw sa ganyan. Pero totoo nga na we should stay vigilant pa rin na ito ay continuously nangyayari kahit na iniimbestigahan. What if meron din pala sa ibang sectors ng government, ganyan. So it really pays to remember sino ba talaga yung kinagagalitan natin, saan ba talaga tayo galit, ano ba talaga yung punot dulo ng frustrations.
Right.
Well, sinasabi nga nila, all the communication majors right now will have a bit of a heart attack when I say medium is the message, according to Marshall McLuhan. Of course, that's syempre, when you post something on TikTok, social media, the target obviously changes. And of course, the messaging also changes. But at the same time rin, there have been instances in the past few months, weeks, that people in general have highlighted yung mga quote-unquote nepo babies. Minsan nakakaroon ng case of mistaken identity. I think one of the biggest examples is yung si Camille ko and si Claudine ko. In terms of the negativity push towards these people. So when you take a look at the outrage, how important is it to actually have a measured amount of outrage, or rather at least researched and prepared outrage? Kasi if you're wrong and you attack the wrong person, you're doing more harm than good.
I think yan yung isa sa sintomas talaga ng cancel culture on the internet. Kasi everyone is so reactive. Kasi social media is so black and white. Kasi nga everyone's attention spans are so short. Wala na tayong mental space for nuance, for extra thought, for research, ganyan. So, makakita lang tayo ng parang, okay, attack, yan yung bumibili ng maraming damit na mamahalin, ganyan. So, I think it's very useful in disseminating information and inciting parang yung inciting care among people na baka wala silang pake, pero it's not the end-all be-all of our response or our participation as citizens of the Philippines. Ganyan. Parang it can start with social media, pero it shouldn't always end there kasi social media is a very limiting platform. The conversations that we're having can be useful, pero it's not as nuanced, as thoughtful as I personally would have liked. Parang it's just a starting point talaga.
Yeah, kasi that's actually the difference between being an actual social critic to a troll. Right? Kasi that amount of critique, syempre, if it doesn't come with any thought, it would actually be more detrimental rather than it is helpful. But then, of course, we're starting to wrap things up here because unfortunately, we don't have
I
enough
wanted
time.
to shift the topic nga kasi parang parang ang serious
Ang seryoso natin
Can I ask something that's medyo off
Go.
Nepo baby topic?
Go.
Kasi you published this essay, The Case for Loving Life in All Its Mess and Mundanity.
Yeah.
And then you talked about your stray dog near-death experience. So can you tell us about this? And that was just a small incident, but there's a big emotional takeaway from it. Let's talk about that.
Grabe, I
To
can't
lighten things up, please.
Before we end, para mas beautiful yung
Let's
day
end on a
natin.
light note. Okay.
I can't believe I'm talking about this on TV. Pero sometime last year, I was bit by a stray dog. As in, parang mabilis sa mga pangyayari.
Okay.
And then, nung pumunta ako sa ABC, like the Animal Bite Center,
Yes,
tapos
yes.
ako lang kasi mag-isa. Kasi I wanted it to be quick lang. I didn't want it to be a big deal. And then, everyone there was like with their family. Syempre, kasi usually mga bata naman talaga yung nakagat ng aso. I was the only grown person there. And then when I was in the waiting room, ang dami ko naging realizations na parang kahit na mag-isa ko dito sa waiting room right now, I know that I am never alone in my life. Kasi parang, di ba, I'm reaching out to my parents, to my friends, ganyan na parang I can't believe na I'm not, na kahit na I feel so sad minsan. That's never the case. Alam mo yun, na parang you're always surrounded by people who love you, ganyan. All from the waiting room of the random animal bite center. So, thank you to that dog, siguro. Indirectly.
I hope other people will have that same realization na hindi kailangan makagat ng aso.
Oo.
Oo.
Tama.
Thank
Just
you.
read the essay.
One dog bite lang.
One
so,
dog
hindi siya
bite.
nagka-rabies, pero nagkaroon siya ng ganung
Realization.
realization.
I love that. All right, so before we go, we're gonna have to wrap things up, and we always ask this.
Yes, our show is called Beautiful Day. So what makes your day beautiful?
Siguro related na din sa response ko kanina, it really is the people that I spend it with. They always make everything beautiful. A day can be malungkot, it can be frustrating, can be tiring. Pero when I spend some time with the people I love, everything becomes beautiful.
Andrea
Akala ko
Panaligan.
yung stray dog.
Stray dog?
Oo, makes your
Oo
life
nga
beautiful.
eh.
Oo.
But it did make your life
a way,
somehow,
in a
di ba?
way.
It made you realize the beauty of life, di ba? That dog bite.
That's
But
so
again, it's
good.
at Girl Boss in Red
Yeah.
on TikTok. Invite our viewers to follow you.
Hi, so my name is Andrea. I write a lot about culture, social media, the internet, how we see the world from a Gen Z perspective. So my TikTok account is Girl Boss in Red. And I do write a lot, especially with Youngstar, which is the publication I manage. I'm on Instagram. Nag-plug ng Instagram. So it's Nandrea, Nahandrea. Ayun. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you so much for being here. You know what? We didn't get to talk about audiobooks and how I'm against
I
it.
know, my gosh.
But that's
Let's
okay.
continue that conversation off air.
That's okay. So again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us. And thank you so much, Andrea, for being here with us again. Check her out on her BookTok. And that's a wrap on our show this Wednesday, September 3. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Paolo de Rosario. Remember, keep it cool, take it easy.
And I'm Asis-Carilo. Have a great day ahead. And always remember to choose joy and spread love and kindness wherever this day takes you. See you again tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Only here on
Beautiful Day!